Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Ellie and Shannon show from Soapbox. We are here. I'm Shannon coming to you live from California and Ellie live from Oklahoma. So here we are, and today we are discussing the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and Trump and Russia collusion. So our question is, do you support the DNC suing Trump and Russia for collusion to conspire to prevent Hillary from getting the presidency? So what do you think, Ellie? Do you want to give the background or should I give some background?
First of all, sorry if my screen is a little digitally. I don't know what's going on, but bear with us. So the DNC is suing a long list of people, actually. I don't know if I can read all of these, but so Russia, they're suing some hackers. They're suing the Trump campaign, Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, WikiLeaks, including Julian Assange, who is this infamous guy who we know from many, many years, who's actually, I believe, in the Ecuador embassy in Great Britain, anyway, I think he's, anyway, the point is there's a lot to unpack here. I was looking for a lot of liberal reactions, and I couldn't find that many, hardly at all, actually. So I was going to show some tweets. I did find one, ironically, from Donna Brazile, who was the head of the DNC after Debbie Wasserman Schultz got essentially not ousted, but she had to resign because of WikiLeaks. Then Donna Brazile took her spot. Then Donna Brazile tried to give debate questions to Hillary. Then Donna Brazile had to leave. So Donna Brazile was the only one I saw talking about this. And she was essentially saying, this is important and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is coming from someone who is trying to cheat. Like, I just think that was kind of weird. But of course, you're going to want to say something about it. It's kind of a big deal. I'm seeing a lot more conservatives talk about it than Democrats. I will say that. And I don't know why that is. Do you think there's any particular reason for that, or?
I think a lot of the liberals that I follow on social media and who are my friends, I think there is, similar on the conservative side, people have a mistrust of the Democratic establishment. So I'm not sure that Tom Perez necessarily speaks for, he's the head of the DNC. I'm not sure he necessarily speaks for a lot of the liberals that I know. So basically right. So the Democratic National Convention in civil court, I think it's a District of Columbia court, is suing the whole list of people that you said, basically saying they conspired in the election to interfere and throw the election for Trump away from Hillary, to damage Hillary's chances. And what I'm reading is basically the strategy here is the DNC feels like there's a chance Trump will fire Mueller and shut down the special counsel. So they want to have a separate route that goes through a judge that could not be shut down by Trump, that could possibly uncover sort of the same stuff that Mueller is looking into, but they just wanted a second avenue, basically. Mm-hmm. I do think Russian interference is a big deal, and I think I'm really mad about that. And I do think that's something that we should be probably more up in arms about and trying to prevent. I think polarization of our electorate in general on social media, which is what the Russian hackers took advantage of for their Facebook hacking, I think that's a big issue. Hacking in and the DNC's emails, like getting John Podesta's emails. Yeah, that's bad. We should go after Russia for that. There should be consequences for that. We should not sit by while they hack our country and try to influence an election. I don't know. I mean, it just feels like a little bit you're rehashing sort of old news. I mean, it's just like, shouldn't the DNC be focused on winning elections in November? Like, shouldn't that be their focus? And they know, even if this is not something that's actually taking up that much of their time, this is going to be a huge media story, and there's going to be a ton of attention directed to this. So if I'm thinking about where I want Tom Perez and the DNC, I was going to say in their campaign money, but I think they're like actually in debt, where they're going to be putting their efforts, like elect Democrats in 2018. That's where they should be focusing their efforts, not on a lawsuit that's just going to be stir up more of this he said, she said, name calling. I I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. To me, it feels like we have a special counsel for this. Mueller's looking into this, and the DNC, a civil lawsuit. Like, I just don't know if they have the authority or the scope, I guess.
Millions and millions of dollars. So it's just like kind of questionable why you would spend your time on this. And I mean, if they're truthfully thinking that they're going to get somewhere with it, I kind of understand. But I kind of feel like it might be more to take media attention back to Russia, because that narrative is sort of failing right now about the collusion and everything. So maybe it's a desperate attempt for that. I don't really understand, but there's a comment that said, "Don't get flustered, Ellie." And I will say, I was not flustered. I was laughing, because today this has been my entertainment. Literally, I made a video cracking up about this because I just find it very funny. So don't confuse my laughter with being flustered, because I'm definitely not. But I just think it is kind of funny. And there's so many reactions on their tweet from conservatives that are like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, this is going to cost you the midterms. But never take advice from the opposite party about how to win elections. I will say that. But the Democrats put out a tweet saying the Democratic Party is fighting to protect elections. That's why we're suing the Trump campaign in Russia. And so if you guys want to see some funny reactions to that, you should go to that tweet. Yeah, it's like this deep interweb of so many things going on, especially with, the history of WikiLeaks and just all of this stuff. But Glenn Greenwald, he is a journalist from The Guardian, or at least he used to work at the
Snowden journalist.
Yeah.
He works at now, which is Omar, the guy from, anyway, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I don't think he works for The Guardian anymore, but he was saying that this is okay. He said it's so hard to read. Sorry. If DNC can sue WikiLeaks for publishing misappropriated documents that hurt its cause, can the NSA sue the Guardian and Washington Post for publishing the misappropriated documents? Can Trump sue New York Times and Maddow for publishing misappropriated tax returns? Seems like a dangerous theory, because Glenn Greenwald, I think, was behind the publishing of the NSA documents that Edward Snowden leaked. Yes, and that was a huge deal, obviously, back like 4 years ago. And so he's, I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong, but he seems pretty liberal about most things.
Yeah, so I would say he's also has a very strong libertarian streak, because he's definitely like no government overreach, no government spying. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I just thought that was cool.
In Brazil, I think he moved out of the US because he felt like he was being persecuted and spied on by the government, and so he moved to Brazil.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. And then WikiLeaks tweeted, let's see if I can find it. I can't, apparently. Wow, did I really not upload that? That was silly of me. But anyway, WikiLeaks put out a tweet about this and kind of laughed it off almost, because they're like, you guys have no, grounds for this, essentially. And so if the DNC wants to waste millions and millions of dollars, go ahead.
We have a comment from Scott, our fave. Hi, Scott, who says, "I support the right to sue because it's a fail-safe to protect our democracy. Will they be successful? Probably not." That's basically how I
love your comments.
I know, you always have great, thoughtful things to say. So I basically completely agree with this. I think, of course, it isn't within their right to sue. Like, obviously, America is an incredibly litigious society. I completely support their right to sue. Do I think they're really going to move the needle on this? No, I really don't. I'm skeptical about that. And then I also just feel like they should be spending their time focusing on promoting, like, basically, and it's not a zero-sum game, but if you think about the DNC trying to get publicity for something in 2018, they should be promoting candidates, like go like support Beto O'Rourke in, Texas, or any number of candidates who are, trying to run for Republican seats or take back or keep their seats in 2018. So that would be where I would like to see them,
Someone said, "Hi, Santa Claus," because I have this Santa Claus coffee mug that I'm currently using. It's Friday, whatever. I'll use Santa Claus today. But yeah, so the lawsuit alleges that Russia found a willing and active partner in the Trump campaign, which shared the goals of hurting the Democratic Party and electing Donald Trump. But to me, and a lot of other people are like, well, the DNC was responsible for hurting, or at least I'll say allegedly hurting Bernie Sanders. So it's just like kind of weird. And I hope someone who was for Bernie will call in, because that would be very interesting to hear. Or Devin, I wonder what he would have to say.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would be probably really mad about this. I feel like he does not like the DNC.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't like their establishment. Like, a lot of people don't like the RNC. I sure, have problems with them. And yeah, I'm trying to read more comments as I'm talking. I'm very bad at multitasking.
I'm queuing up calls to come in.
So happy Friday again, guys.
No, happy 420 if that's your thing. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see what else people are saying about that. The Democrats are accusing Mr. Trump's campaign of being a racketeering enterprise that worked with the Russians and WikiLeaks in a conspiracy that including hacking email servers of the DNC and leaking damaging information to the public. I mean, yeah, like, for sure, I feel like the United States should, like, this is the thing. It's unacceptable that Russia felt emboldened to hack into one of our major political parties and try to influence the United States election. That is, regardless of who they were trying to influence it for or against, that is unacceptable. And we, the United States, need to speak up strongly against that. Do I think we should, like, go to war with Russia to, like, prevent that from happening? No, but I think we should really take a very strong stand against that. However, as Glenn Greenwald pointed out in that tweet, which I think is a really good point, are we going to go after leakers that aggressively and people who hack into things and then leak it? I mean, it does feel like, should WikiLeaks as the messenger, should we go after them? And I think that is a very valid civil liberties point, which is, yes, we should definitely be against Russia and criticizing them and speaking out against them for trying to hack and influence the election. But should we be targeting WikiLeaks, who then leaked that information? Like, generally, and this is why I'm a huge supporter of Edward Snowden too, I think more information is better. I do generally support whistleblowers and leakers. So,
yay. We took a poll on this in our app. Do you support the DNC's lawsuit alleging they were the victim of an election conspiracy by Russia, Trump, and WikiLeaks? And 69% said no, 31% said yes. And I think we had more about this. Let's see. Do you support the DNC filing a federal lawsuit claiming Trump colluded with Russia to cost Hillary the presidency? And 66% said no, 34% said yes. So that's pretty cool. Guys, go vote in our polls on our app, the Soapbox app.
We have Patricia says, maybe WikiLeaks and Russia thought America needed to know the truth about Hillary. The media would not tell the truth about Hillary. Why sue them for telling the truth? I mean, I think that argument I don't quite agree with, because I feel like it's not about, like, who's to say what is the objective truth here? I think the reason, I think Glenn Greenwald, that tweet you had, is the reason why we shouldn't go after WikiLeaks. And I would separate WikiLeaks from Russia, because WikiLeaks basically received this leaked information. I mean, you may disagree or not like Julian Assange, but there is something to be said for publishing things that governments try to keep secret from their electorate, from their public. I mean, there's something very bad about that. So I think going after WikiLeaks for this is a little bit suspect. It just, I think you agree with this, like, and you're not a Democrat, but this is just a bad look for the Democratic Party. Like, I understand, yes, wanting a fail-safe, like Scott's comment, I totally agree with, and pushing this forward. But it does feel like if you were, and I would put it this way, I guess. It feels like if Trump fires Mueller and shuts down the special counsel, okay, that would be a different scenario. And then I'm not sure. We have a caller from New York. Hi, caller from New York. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about the DNC suing Trump and Russia?
I think it's a complete freaking joke. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, that's why Hillary Clinton lost. Okay. Sure, Bob.
Thank you so much for calling. We have another caller coming in, but thanks so much for your thoughts. Hi, caller from Arkansas. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about our question today?
What I think, I hope the Democratic Party just keeps on running, because all this stuff they're doing just makes me continue to vote Republican. And not only that, I'm liable to go join the NRA. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Another caller from New York. Hi, caller from New York. This is Ellie and Shannon. What do you think about our question today?
I think I'm rather shocked. I think the Democrats are a little unstable and paranoid. I mean, to put it mildly, I think, unfortunately, we finally have Trump, who's, I know him personally, and I've campaigned for him, and I think he's been a wonderful influence, and he's done more than any other president has while he's been in office for such a short time. He's kept all of his promises, but I think the paranoia from the left has been to the point where it's laughable.
Well, ma'am, I have to interrupt you because you said you know Trump personally. So Ellie and I want to hear all about that. What is this? You're from New York.
Well, I knew him. I met him when I knew him because I was dating his best friend.
Oh my gosh.
Eddie Gordon passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's a wonderful person. Hello?
We're here.
Hello?
Yes, we're here. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I know. It's really it's a heartwarming story because Eddie died. He had cancer and he died. But he wasn't someone who talked, or you could see him in a lot of videos of the past. But he loved Trump, but he had a lot of respect for him, and he trusted him very much, which is very unusual, particularly for people in New York to begin with. But I had the utmost respect for his opinion, and he told me if I ever needed anything, to never ever hesitate, because Trump would be the only person that you could trust. This was many, many years ago.
Wow.
You look at the videos that you see about what he said and did years ago, he says the same thing now. But, you're a lot younger, and a lot of the young people are not growing up in the same, the way we grew up. And it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of changes, and I think people really have to be more respectful, when it comes to, and the paranoia is really, if people are wasting a lot of money. This investigation and name calling and defamation.
So ma'am, have you always been a Trump fan? It sounds like you knew him a long time ago. Were you surprised when he ran for president?
I still campaigned for him. I'm still in touch.
Wow. So tell us, do you have any things, tell us some gossip that you want to share. What is he like in person? We want to hear all about it, firsthand account.
No, I don't have gossip, except that he's a very caring person and very generous to the people that, that he really cares. And I think people underestimate him. I think because, unfortunately, people that have a lot of money, there's a stigma attached. But he came from a wonderful family, and when you look back at the videos that he talked about North Korea and he talked about certain issues, and it's coming to pass today. He hasn't changed his mind. That was 30 years ago, some of those videos.
Right. Totally. Well, ma'am, I'm so sorry to cut you off. We have a bunch of other calls coming in, but thank you so much, and I hope you'll call. I can't even listen to the people because they're so ridiculous. Well, thank you so much for calling in. You too. Thanks.
Really quick, we have a little bit of breaking news about North Korea. North Korea announces it will suspend nuclear and missile tests.
Oh my God. Wow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Pretty cool. So breaking news on a Friday. Yay!
Somehow all of these things come out on a Friday. That's amazing. Well, we'll probably talk about that on Monday, as a Monday show. So we have a comment from Scott Schwartz who says, lawsuit for what exactly? Because they lost the election? I guess I'm confused on what grounds they think they could sue for. So that's a really good question. I'm going to take this call and then let's return to that.
Yeah.
See if I can take it off.
Sorry.
Hi, caller from New Jersey. Caller from New Jersey, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, this is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about our question?
I was about to answer it.
Tell us.
What was that?
Tell us what you think. The question is, do you agree with the DNC suing Trump and Russia, as well as several other people, including WikiLeaks, for hacking the DNC emails and trying to throw the election against Hillary?
Absolutely disagree with that.
Why do you disagree?
No, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you so much for calling. We really appreciate your point of view. Hi, caller from Utah. This is Ellie and Shannon from Soapbox.
Hi there.
What do you think about our question today?
Which one? The one about Coney or the one about the DNC?
The one about the DNC is our topic today.
Okay. The first one yesterday, I would think that why were you even asking that question? He broke the law, did on national TV, he did it. And the second one, okay, if I get it right, the DNC wants to prosecute Trump and president, the people with his government, correct? When are we going to charge Clinton and Obama with the crimes that they did to take Benghazi and illegally signing DACA into law? When do they get prosecuted? And if we want to see Trump's tag, why can't we see Obama's or Clinton's?
Well, thank you so much for your, I'm so sorry to cut you off. We have another caller, but thank you so much for calling in with your opinion. Hi, caller from Washington. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about our question today?
Well, I see it like this. If we're going to let some dude president for colluding with Russia, we better sue the Clinton for stealing things out of the White House, the Obamas for fucking up jobs.
Oh, no cussing. I'm going to, yes, try not to cuss on this. I think I accidentally hung up with her. I meant to mute her. Whoops. Okay, sorry, ma'am. Call back in if you, oh, here's a caller from Illinois. Hi, caller from Illinois. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about our question today?
I think the DNC sucks.
How do you feel about the RNC?
Same to you, bitch.
Oh, okay. No,
I was asking.
I know, what the heck? Also, I'm pretty sure he was a Republican.
Yeah, same, fam, same.
Yeah, right.
Just asking.
Yeah, goodness gracious. Okay, so to get back to Scott's question, what is the lawsuit for exactly? I think the grounds they're suing on is because DNC emails were actually hacked. So a third party did hack into DNC's emails, which is illegal. But yeah, do you know more details about?
Yeah, so the lawsuit alleges that Russia found a willing and active partner in the Trump campaign, which share the goals of hurting the Democratic Party and electing Donald Trump. It says representatives of the three groups remained in contact with each other as the cyber attack was being carried out. So they're saying that they all conspired to influence the 2016 election. I'm not seeing anything about hacking, but I think that's part of it too. But from USA Today, that's kind of what they were describing it as, is that those three were conspiring all together with hacking and influencing and probably bots and things like that, which people know that Russia tried to influence, but it's about whether or not Trump was willingly colluding with that, which a lot of the news lately has been saying he hasn't. But they're also, again, they're suing Donald Trump Jr. and a hacker by the name of Guccifer and a bunch of other people. I have the list. But yeah, they're suing like a lot of people and countries. I mean, like crazy. That's a lot of money to dish out when the midterms are right around the corner, like you were saying.
Yeah. Focus on electing Democrats. We have a comment from Karen who says, yes, I do. This needs to be handled away for more people to see just what happened. I think this is a pretty common refrain on both sides, which is the idea that there is information that government officials are sort of keeping secret and the public don't really know about. And I think Russia collusion is an example of this, where you have on the one side, the Democrats are like Russia collusion, Trump colluded with Russia, they threw the election. Obviously, the DNC has now opened a lawsuit to that effect. On the other hand, you have Trump, who's basically, this is a witch hunt, there was no collusion, blah, blah, blah. And then I think there is a lot of hyperbole on either side. And so people, I think a lot of people just kind of want to know what actually happened. Like, okay, we know Russia had that one company that was on Facebook having all this propaganda, but who hacked into the DNC? Was that authorized by Putin? Like, you know, okay, this guy, George Papadopoulos, like he talked to some random Russian guy and said something like that's why they opened the Russia investigation. Like, it feels like there's so much swirling, like hyperbole around this, where people are like, it's, you know, total Trump and Putin are in bed together. Or Trump is like, this is a total witch hunt. Like Russia is our, he doesn't really say Russia's our friend, but he certainly, I think, can be more sympathetic to Putin, I guess, or he was in the past. But yeah, I think people do want to know what happened. And it's just a question of, do you trust the Mueller investigation?
Yeah. I'm reading through comments. People saying, do you look at facts or just listen to Fox News? They're not necessarily talking to us. They're talking about the other comments, I think. But just funny comments. But Brian said, breaking news, reports North Korea leader Kim Jong-un says he will suspend nuclear and long-range missile tests and shut down a nuclear site. Yes, we just brought that up when it broke. I got the alert on my phone, so we did bring that up. And we were doing a little happy dance about that. So that's cool. Just wanted to reiterate that because that's some big news. And again, we will probably talk about that on Monday.
God says, our fave. Oh my gosh, these phone-in comments are crazy. We do a few crazy callers. The best and also worst was that guy who you were like, but what do you think about the RNC? And he was like,
BITC.
We're like, oh, sure, you agree.
All right. Yeah, we would be on the same page.
Yeah. You don't believe Rosenstein from Jim Allen. Jim, what do you mean about Rosenstein?
Probably talking to me.
Oh, Rosenstein.
Feels like they are opening a civil matter just to find criminal case, slippery slope, because honestly, other than a slap on the hand, what could they enforce? Then we have, go ahead.
They hung up.
I had a comment from, I think, a Bernie supporter that I just thought was interesting, who retweeted Dana Lash, who is a spokesperson for the NRA. And he said, I retweeted because she's standing up for Bernie Sanders for being screwed over in the primaries. And that's just amazing, to say the least. That was interesting to me. But that's just a random Twitter account.
I think another thing that does, like, to just add more context. So when I was saying earlier, I think the Democrats should be focusing on basically getting people elected in the 2018 midterm elections. I also think there is, and this is the Bernie thing, there's definitely a perception that the DNC and the Democratic establishment is like obsessed with Hillary Clinton, and they've held on to her and they've elevated her candidacy and they can't let it go and she can't let it go. And whether or not you agree with that, it does feel like, look, Hillary Clinton is likely, she's not going to be relevant in politics, you know, for running for office anymore. Like, let's start focusing on some new talent and thinking about who we can for 2018 and start prepping for 2020. Like, I don't think there's a clear front runner. I mean, I'm not sure Bernie would run again. People have talked about Joe Biden, but he's pretty old. Oh, here's a caller from Los Angeles. Hi, caller from LA. This is Shannon and Ellie. What do you think about our question today?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Your question. Yeah, I just want to make it clear that the DNC should actually sue Robert Mueller for finding no evidence on Russia and Trump collusion.
Oh, so you think Mueller is actually not doing a good job of, he's not following through on what he should be doing for finding collusion?
Well, no, I'm saying that James Comey made it clear that the information was already unverified evidence given to the British MI6 agent Christopher Steele. So actually, the DNC should sue Comey, Mueller even themselves for being, incompetent of not admitting that there was no collusion.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate your thoughts and hope you'll continue to call into the show. Have a nice Friday.
It's okay. Friday.
Weekend. I have Victor commented my hat. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not to say this is Kim Kardashian merch, so that may change.
It is?
Yes, it is.
They're closing their stores.
What? So sad. Okay, here's someone from Tennessee. Hi, caller from Tennessee. This is Ellie and Shannon and Ellie's kitty on Soapbox. What do you think about our question today?
I think that President Trump is doing a great job. The Democrats are all for ruining our country. I think that they're doing anything they can to pick apart Trump because he's going to drain the swamp and take care of the politicians that are one, career, two, corrupt, and three, living well above their means. So I'm a Tea Party member, but I'm all in favor of Trump. I live in Bledsoe County, and I'm a big advocate for him. So.
Do you feel like you said you're a Tea Party partier, but you support Trump? Do you feel like Trump embodies a lot of the Tea Party values, or do you think he's different than that?
No, absolutely. He lines up very well with the Tea Party beliefs. Second Amendment issue for one, First Amendment issue for two. We're against all these people tearing down these monuments. I mean, we need to teach history in school so that it doesn't repeat itself. And Trump aligns a lot with that. I believe, in my honesty, he ran as an independent more than he ran as a Republican. But I know as an independent, he would just steal votes from the Republican Party. So I'm glad he ran under the Republican ticket.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, sir. We really appreciate your point of view and hope you'll continue to call in. You have a nice Friday. What do you think? I saw you had some response to that.
I think the Tea Party movement was a little more conservative than Trump for sure. But the Tea Party, it stands for taxed enough already, TEA. So in a sense, definitely Trump embodies that with tax cuts and things like that. But I think they are a little more liberty-minded than Trump. But in ways, they definitely align, especially because he's an outsider and draining the swamp and taxes and all of those things. But yeah, there's just a few things that I don't think would necessarily go hand in hand. But as far as him running as an independent, I totally agree with that. And that, that's a very good way of putting it, actually. I really like that comment.
Yeah, he was pretty articulate.
Yeah, Jim said, not the Tea Party, I know. Yeah.
We have a caller from Connecticut. Hi, caller from Connecticut. This is Ellie and Shannon on Soapbox. What do you think about our question today?
I think it's a good one. Personally, I think the DNC is probably wasting their time a little bit there with trying to sue them. But I look at it as they're doing like tit for tat. You know how the RNC is starting to, do things against James Comey and Mueller and stuff like that on behalf of the president. I think the DNC is just doing this more so on the side of the Congress just to make sure that that Mueller stays in on the case and Trump doesn't have any way to get him kicked off.
Interesting. So do you think the lawsuit will go anywhere? Like, do you think as a fail-safe against Mueller getting fired, do you think it will achieve its purpose?
I don't think it's going to go too far. I think that, like I said, I think it's mainly just more so of a fail-safe to keep Mueller from being fired. I honestly truly don't even think that Mueller's going to find anything on collusion. If anything, me being originally from New York, and I was, I show my age here, but I graduated in '96. If there's going to be anything that the Congress is going to get Trump on, it's going to be on his finances. That's all it's going to be. They're going to show something maybe for money laundering or, padding his books or stuff like that. But outside of for the collusion portion, I don't think they're going to find anything. But I definitely believe the new charges that New York is looking up, they're going to catch the president
running on some type of finances.
Under, like, for Michael Cohen, you think, as they depose him? And
under Michael Cohen, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
I've been, like I said, I'm born and raised in New York, so I mean, I've been around for all of his bankruptcies and, you know, and stuff like that, and we've heard all the stories. So it's like, I really think that he's definitely going to get caught with that. Just that's why, because he warned Mueller and everybody else that if they started going after anything outside of Russia, or if he started going towards his finances, that's where that would be his quote unquote red line. So that's why I think that that's where all the dirt is going to be at, is in his finances, because that's why he's never released his taxes or anything.
Interesting. Yeah, I did read something that said a possible aim of the DNC lawsuit was to force Trump to reveal some of his tax returns. And the head of the DNC, Tom Perez, was like, "Oh, I haven't even thought about that," which I felt was a little bit disingenuous, but that could also be a possible motivation for them.
Definitely going to be with his taxes. I mean, you figure like this: any person that's filed for bankruptcy as many times as he has. I mean, companies do file for bankruptcy, but they don't file for bankruptcy that much and that often. And he just approved that lawsuit to those people for that school that was a joke that he had going on. There's definitely going to be something hidden in his tax records and his books. I know it.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, sir. Do you mind if I take down your number and we might call you in the future to get your thoughts on stuff?
Oh, yeah, by all means.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a nice Friday.
You do the same. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. Bye. I should have done that for, okay, the woman who knew Trump. I'm going to go back and find her number because I feel like I need to have her be on our list. So Brian had a question a little while ago where he said, in all honesty, Shannon, what are Democrats going to run on in 2018? Trump hate, higher taxes, more job-killing regulations, eliminating the Second Amendment. And I mean, I know he's being kind of facetious, but and those are not the things that I think the Democrats should run on. But I do think that brings up the point that I was sort of making is I think this is creating all of this drama, and people are like the Democratic Party does not want to be tied to like the Hillary Party. Like we need to move on, like blood. And the anti-Trump party, I don't think that's necessarily going to win them the election. I do think there are a lot of progressives who are very anti-Trump, so there's definitely a segment of the Democratic Party that works for. But I think if you're trying to win the whole election, like thinking about 2020, I agree that simply being the anti-Trump party, just from a pure like common sense or like what you would want to support, like I don't want to be a party that's just the anti something. You know, I want to stand for something. Things that I care about are criminal justice reform, immigration reform. I actually am a little bit more fiscally conservative, so I'm not as big on regulations as I think some progressive and Democrats are. But I mean, healthcare reform, I think there's, you know, I don't necessarily think Obamacare should be repealed, but there are obviously a ton of improvements that could be made to that. Obviously infrastructure, which is something Trump agrees with, and jobs. Like Democrats, they used to be running on jobs in the economy, and blue collar workers were all Democrats. So that's what people care about. Like, I think
if both parties would start running on what they're for, we would find so much more common ground, and all of this crap would be set aside, and it would be just so much easier. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it would just be so much better. But so I think it's a political strategy to keep us a little bit divided. It makes people more passionate when they feel like they're fighting for something revolutionary, and they've tapped into that. And I mean, on both sides, they feel like that works. And so it's kind of hard to get away from that now that they've tapped into that. I wanted to bring up, I forgot to mention, but McCabe is suing the Trump administration for defamation and wrongful termination, which that's also breaking today. That's pretty cray-cray. Just wanted to bring that up really quick, but that's
a couple breaking news things.
I know, crazy.
Actually. Okay, I think we'll probably wrap up. Are there any other comments that we should? I'm trying to catch up.
No way, Trump is not guilty. They left us, Blue Dog Democrats of old. They were infiltrated by socio-communist subjugates. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, both sides have some radicals, I think.
Jim says, who do you suggest the DNC run for president, dear Shannon? And I know these people are like kind of trying to like tear me down a little bit, but I think these are valid questions. And like, this is the conversation we should be having. Yeah, I don't think Hillary. I don't think we should run Hillary again. I can't say I was a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. You know, honestly, there's not one person that I'm super, super excited about. Probably, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Joe Kennedy, I'm not into the dynastic thing. I know Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, I think have strong political aspirations. I remember your dad, when you were doing that video with him, he said Amy Klobuchar, right?
Yeah, Klobuchar, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Kirsten Gillibrand. I like her. And I think she actually used to be relatively moderate. And I think she still is pretty moderate on things. So I like Kirsten Gillibrand. But yeah, there's not one person that I'm like so behind. I was super supportive of Obama. And I remember when he was running, you know, I was really, really excited about that from the very early stage. There's not someone yet on the national stage that I can say that about. So we'll see. But again, like, that is what the DNC should be focused on. That's what Democrats should be focused on, is, you know, fielding new candidates and testing people out. I mean, I think President Trump, like, for all of what I think are his faults, and you may disagree with many things he does or stands for, but he is a master at PR and marketing and selling his own brand. And he went into this, like, in 2012, 2011, he did his research. He A/B tested his messaging. He market tested what he was going to say, if people would, you know, vote for him. Like, he played the long game, and he did an amazing job, obviously, because he got elected president. So I think that is something that the Democrats could take some notes from, is how to, you know, market test, you know, what people will respond to in terms of your messaging. Look at what candidates are resonating with people, polling, like getting people excited about new blood and like new ideas. I think that would be great. That's my final thoughts.
Yeah, I don't have final thoughts. I'm happy it's Friday. No, I think it's a waste of money, but I'm kind of happy about it, because go ahead and waste the money. Go ahead.
I feel like, right. Like, I feel like Republicans, like, you definitely have something to say, which, or I mean, I know maybe you don't identify as like establishment Republican, but conservatives, like, I do feel like they could be sitting there gleefully, like, all right, just keep running on the Hillary platform. Just keep running on the Hillary platform. Like,
yeah.
Don't do it, DNC. Don't do it.
All right. Wait, one more comment. It's nice to say Democrats are for blue-collar workers, but actions speak louder than words. There is a reason Democrats have lost so many legislative seats. That was just about what you were talking about earlier. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a thing about them moving far left. Roseanne Barr was like on Kimmel. She's like, I didn't change. The Democrats have changed, but I don't think that goes to say for Democrat voters necessarily. I mean, some for sure, but maybe just some in power. I got another alert, but it was about Kim Jong-un again. So yeah, my cat is trying to rip out my headphones. So that's great.
All right. Thanks so much. Kind of great.
See you later.
Kitty, say happy Friday.
Happy Friday. He jumped down now. But bye, guys. This is chaotic.